I am Nadine McLemore Mahaney, and I was born and raised in the Eldon community. My mother, Roberta McLemore, but I was really brought up by my grandmother because my mother went out into the workforce when I was very young, about 3 years old. So my grandmother was the biggest influence, I guess, in my bringing up. So she taught me the old ways, the work ethic. She's big on work ethic, and some of the customs, some of the things that I'm an only child, so I was out in the woods a lot because we live, and I was, as a small child, all many acres of woods. So she taught me things to say, some of the customs to protect myself from the wild animals. Lizzie McLemore, it's just a little, just repeated 3 times, just a very uh, short little sentence, and you repeat it 3 times, and that was supposed to keep the wild animals away because the last one says there's food fixed for you somewhere, so don't eat my grandchild. And she taught me, people talk about the little people, and she taught me about, what to do there if you encounter them. She said, if you ever get out there and you hear a language or hear people talking and you can't understand what they're saying, she said, that's who it is, that's what it is. Just get away and leave them alone and they'll leave you alone. But said, if you hang around and, they'll get you lost. My grandmother also taught me what trees were from trees, and some trees were medicine, what grass or weeds or whatever, had medicinal, uses. She taught me how to hunt mushrooms, which was, that she just taught me, a lot of things, and I just went on the trails and roads and just wandered around, and looked at the squirrels and just whatever else I could find, just being a kid. My grandfather had passed away, when I was little, and she taught me how to speak to him on the new moon, only at the new moon. So, that was another one of those things, that she taught me, things that she taught me to say.
Did you grow up in a family that spoke Cherokee?
Oh, yes. That was my first language. Well, I learned pretty quick how to speak English. And again, my grandmother, when it was time for me to start the school, she came into Tahlequah and went to the Redmond shop and got a book. A penmanship book is what it was called. And she taught me, how I was going to have to write. And by that time, I was speaking English. My first day of school, I thought we would never get to school. My mom asked the next door neighbor girl down the road if she would look after me. I went to school with her. We walked and we walked. I kept saying, "Are we there, Jean? Are we getting?" Well, it's not much longer, but it was 3 miles, so to Lane School. In school, if you went every day, had perfect attendance for a month, the Dream Theater would give tickets, to the movies. So I went to the movies a lot because I went to school. I like to read, so I would sit around and read, hang on the grapevine. My mama said there was some grapevines, and one of them had a real knot in it or something where I could get my knees over it and I could lay there. She told her people she worked with, said, well, my kid hangs around in a tree and reads. And that's what I did. That was something I just wanted to do. One time when I was quite small, probably at 5, maybe 6, my mother was going through this big barrel of clothes from their things that they'd put away, and she found this fox hide that my cousin, I guess, he used to trap and sell the skins, and it was just flat, whatever. And she took that out and sewed it up and stuffed it with corn shuck for me. Boy, now I thought I had myself a toy, and I carried that old thing around. I said till I wore the hair off of it. But I did. I mean, that was a toy, that we didn't have, many toys. I made myself a paddle, kind of like a ping pong paddle, and I used to had a tennis ball, and I throw it up on the roof, and I run back and forth, just things like that, that kept me amused though.
Yeah.
I mean, kept me busy, and that gave me a lot of exercise. We had the forerunner to Kool-Aid back then, long ago, and it was a little package. It was a penny. It was called Penny Drink, and it was a penny a package, and what it was Kool-Aid, I think. But we'd walk over to Eldon store, Hitchcock's, and oh, you got a dime, pick up some, penny drink. You got 10 packages for a dime, and it'd make about a quart because they were small. But that was, our treat. It was all good. I'd probably say fried chicken, maybe, and we only had that in the springtime, when as the chickens, as Grandma would say, got to frying size, and we didn't fry a lot of things. Like sometimes people say, oh, we eat everything fried, but we didn't eat a lot of fried things. We ate fried chicken in the spring. Otherwise, it was boiled, maybe with dumplings, and a lot of the meat, like the pork, was boiled. Wild game, which was the only thing we had really, was squirrels, rabbits. No deer, because I didn't see a deer till I got old enough to go to the Muskogee Fair and see them pinned up in the exhibit. There was no deer. And my cousin and I used to fish. We would catch, once in a while, we'd catch perch and a little fish called a stone roller. And they're some kind of a darter because they just really move fast, Frogs, bullfrogs, people eat frogs' legs, and whatever. But we cleaned, ate the whole frog, not just the leg, because we didn't waste. And springtime was a very good time because that's when all the greens came up. We eat a lot of the wild, greens, which was very good. First thing to come out in the spring, she called it wild lettuce. It was just, I think that's what it was. It looked like lettuce, but it was growing in the, along the fence rows. Of course, poke and curly dock, sheep shower. That's what it was. The little, and that was a dessert. I mean, it was cooked and then sweetened, and then she put dumplings in it, and the dumplings turned pink, and it was sweet. It was good. You learn to respect your elders, very much so. You didn't walk in front of them like, if they were sitting there talking, like we are. You didn't. You went around. You find a way to get around. You didn't, and you surely didn't talk back to, or make uncalled for remarks, shall we say? Like a lot of kids do. Didn't run around. In the house. You didn't run in the house. You walked in the house. You go outside and play. And especially when my aunts come to visit and they'd be sitting there talking, you didn't sit around and listen. You go outside and play. You knew, you weren't supposed to sit and listen. So it was very traditional upbringing.